whatever it is the House of Representatives designs the articles around. And so it's a political process. You don't go to jail after impeachment. You're removed from office if you're convicted. The other part of this is a criminal prosecution, and that, of course, is what Donald Trump is facing in at least two federal venues out there.
All right, ethics.
I have long argued that the Supreme Court, being the only court in our country at the state and federal level that does not have an ethics code that they are bound by, is an invitation for the kind of behavior you're now seeing with some of our Supreme Court justices, including Justice Alito and Justice Thomas. I was telling both you and Jim off the air that I have to report on my ethics statement anything above $5.
$5,
right?
And if
not $1 million,
no,
$5.
Not $100,000, not 100, but $5. And if I'm going to go to an event that is going to serve food and drinks, and it's going to reasonably cost about $50.
It's something of value, right? You've got to report that then so the public knows about that. Those are the limits there,
that's
right?
That's absolutely, and the fact that they're the only court that is exempt, I think the proof is in the pudding. Why they need it is because we've got two justices that we know about that have engaged in behavior that has caused eyebrow raising from the public.
Is there a logical argument why we shouldn't have that? Because they're, like you said, they're the only the court that has that.
No, because your ethics code gives to the court, gives to any branch of government, credibility, believability by the public. And we are only as good as institutions, in my opinion, Steve, as the public has faith in us. If they lose faith in our institutions, including the Supreme Court, what do we have? We might as well close the doors of the courthouse. Right. So they want to make sure that even the perception of somebody being on the take or favoring one party because of the benefits, financial and otherwise, that they've received, if that causes the public to have concerns and to lose faith in our institution, then it is well worth us developing a judicial code of ethics for our Supreme Court.
Retired Judge Mary Kuhnmensch, former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel. We'll take a break. After break, we're scheduled to be joined by, I do this every year at the fair, opening day, the governor of the state, great state of Wisconsin, Tony Evers. If he's not available yet, we'll talk about some of the things that are on our schedule. Having fun at the Bank 59 studio at the Wisconsin State Fair opening day. You're listening, of course, to the Political Power Hour on 620 WTMJ.
While you rest on the weekends, we work for you. Wisconsin's Weekend Morning News with Libby Collins. The latest in news.
TMJ4 meteorologist Brendan Johnson.
We're getting all four seasons, it looks like, in the span of just about 72 hours.
Entertainment.
His name's John Crimper.
I rode cheap when I was 3, and that's when it all started.
And more. Every Sunday morning starting at 8 on WTMJ.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scavini for Universal Windows Direct. It's only going to get hotter. It's hot today. Do not cool off the outside of your house this year. Call my guys at Universal Windows Direct. What do they use? Super spatial technology. What does that mean? Keeps the edge of the glass warmer, holds the window seal longer, makes the windows last up to 5 times longer than other window systems. Call Universal Windows Direct today, 414-410-2000. Every 2 windows you buy, 2 free for 4. You get it. Plus, if you need it, 0% financing for 60 months. Update your windows with Universal Windows Direct means extra protection from the elements, consistent temperature. Who doesn't want that? Increased energy efficiency and, of course, reduced heating and cooling costs. If you've seen those bills, get new windows. Call 414-410-2000. Schedule your free in-home estimate today. For every 2 windows you buy, you get 2 free. 0% financing if you need it. Tell them I told you to call. Additional $250 off your project. For the last windows you'll ever need, go to uwd.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text radio to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Earn now, spend later during Blaine's Farm and Fleet's Blaine's Bucks event. Now through August 11th, rewards members earn $10 in Blaine's Bucks for every $100 spent in store. Redeemable just like cash August 15th through the 28th. Start earning today on select 2-pound bags of Blaine's brand cashews or mixed nuts, $11.99. Rewards members save an extra $2. And assorted faux corduroy pet beds, $19.99 while supplies last. Start earning Blaine's bucks now to spend later at Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
We are broadcasting live from the Bank 5-9 studio at the beautiful Wisconsin State Fair opening day. Woohoo!
Very exciting.
Retired Judge Mary Kuhnmensch joins me from Milwaukee County, and of course the former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel, our legal experts. Now a tradition on this show. I've done it on the old show, and I'm certainly going to do it on the new show. Joining us on the hotline is, of course, the governor of the state of Wisconsin, Governor Tony Evers. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing today, Steve?
We are good. So are you on the grounds? Are you on your way? I know you have a big ceremony to kind of kick things off this morning.
Yeah, we're en route. Can't wait to get there. Although I heard it's raining, but that's fine. We'll celebrate regardless.
A little rain never gets in our way to celebrate something as cool as the Wisconsin State Fair. I'll ask you a couple of fun questions, then we'll talk a little bit about politics. But what do you like? What's your food item that Governor Tony Evers has to have at the Wisconsin State Fair? Like mine would be like the bison sandwich, or maybe that grilled cheese sandwich. What's your thing?
Well, obviously, besides cream puffs, which obviously has to happen.
How did I forget that one?
I think. Yeah, no kidding. But we used to go to the cattleman's booth and get something there. Yeah, some kind of good meat from them. But it is important that we get at least one cream puff in our guts before we leave.
All right, one more on the fair. So as governor, you get to sort of kick this off. What in your mind, what does the fair mean to Wisconsin residents?
Well, it's really just a chance to, first of all, really honor all the work that those kids do with their animals and bringing them to show. I know a lot of people don't even get into that part of the fair, but it's really worth it, seeing the kids and how they're working so hard and have worked so hard to bring these animals to the fair. And so that, to me, that's number one. I mean, we have to really take a look at that and enjoy that opportunity. But other than that, it's just pure Wisconsin, where this is Kathy and my 55th annual trek to the fair.
Wow.
And everyone's been just outstanding. So it's just good fun, and it's just recognizing that this is what Wisconsin's all about.
Governor Tony Evers joining us from the Wisconsin State Fair. We're in the Bank 5-9 studio here. We're just off the mall north of the Expo Center. All right, I was out of the country for a couple of weeks. I come back. Joe Biden's not a candidate anymore, and Kamala Harris is the candidate for Democrats. Did that shock you?
Well, yes and no. I mean, there was a lot of angst for several weeks, and so you felt something was going to happen. But, obviously President Biden has done a wonderful job. He's done a great job for us here in Wisconsin with money directed, specifically around infrastructure and making sure that our state's in good economic position. So that was kind of sad to see that end. To see him have to leave in this way, but it worked out well. He did it in a way that was very, very honorable, and now we're working to make sure that we get Kamala Harris across the finish line. But yeah, it was very, I wouldn't say contentious, but there was just time where things moved very fast, and here we are. But life goes on.
DNC coming up in a couple of weeks. What does Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, bring to the ticket that Joe Biden didn't?
Well, she's certainly, she's younger, but also she's somebody that has had different life experiences than he has had, and being a black Indian woman, certainly her background is different than Joe Biden's. But they're good partners for years, so I don't think you'll see a lot difference in the policies. They're all for making sure our democracy is strong and that women have their rights to make decisions around their bodies. And so I don't think policy-wise you'll see much difference. But at the end of the day, I believe that Kamala Harris will be the next president of the United States.
On our ballot coming up are two questions about the power of a governor to spend federal dollars. I know you have some thoughts on that. What do you think?
Well, I think first of all, they're horribly written, and second of all, the Republicans brought them to a vote at the lowest place as far as the number of people coming to the polls, and so clearly they're trying to pull a fast one and make sure that that they're in charge and taking power away from me. But you think about it, during the pandemic, if we would have waited for them to come into session, they were out of session for 300 days. The things that had to be done, and that's exactly what would be taken away with these two amendments. And so I'm encouraging people to make sure they flip the ballot thing over, and they're on the backside. Questions 1 and 2, voting no. It's just it's a outrage to make sure that there's more power in the legislature, and I would argue that is not. There's plenty of power there already. So I don't see amplifying that as being a good thing for the people of Wisconsin.
It sounds like you're using the urgency argument that sometimes you have these, like in our case it was a pandemic, but I mean the reason that power is given to a governor is that there may be an immediate need to spend the money. You don't want to get bogged down in legislatures and all the political back and forth. But if that's the case, right. Correct me if I'm wrong, we still have money from that release of funds from the federal government related to the pandemic, don't we?
Well, that's what the Republicans are claiming. It's all been obligated. Obviously, some of the programs that were implemented, people get it reimbursed for it, and they're not quite done with the work. And so, no, that's just a talking point for the Republicans to get their way. It is clearly already obligated, and we can't give it to somebody else now. So, no, it's for what was going on during the pandemic. People are still spending that money and seeking reimbursement.
Governor Jim Santel, so you're coming to Wisconsin's Great Fair, and delighted to have you here. I know that yesterday you were our transportation secretary, also moving around the state of Wisconsin and talking about rail and other ways of moving our residents in and out of the state and around our communities. Talk with us about your vision for transportation in the state of Wisconsin and federal support for that.
Yeah, I think transportation is obviously very important. We've been fixing the damn roads for 4+ years, but the idea that making sure that our citizens have access to passenger rail, I think, is really important. Obviously, rail is real important as far as moving goods. But so we are working with the federal government. I was with Secretary Pete yesterday. And we're looking at, and this is just study, this is absolutely preliminary, from, looking at things from Milwaukee to Green Bay, see what we can do for Eau Claire and some other cities to make sure that people have the opportunity to have passenger rail. As I said before, this will take some time to kind of work through, and one of them is to Madison also, and to make sure that they have access to passenger rail. So the federal government has provided some resources for us to make to do these studies and see the interest, and I'm convinced it's all there. We just have to make sure that it's done safely. For example, the last time there was a passenger rail train going to Green Bay was 1771. And we just know that it's going to have to be more than just we really want to have this happen. We're going to have make sure that the tracks are in place and all that. So it's a long process, but the good news is we're working with our partners in Washington, D.C. to make this happen.
Governor Mary Kuhnmensch, Milwaukee County Circuit Court, retired. Good to talk to you again, sir. I wanted to first thank you for the continued fine appointments you're making to our bench to fill our Milwaukee County courts with really good qualified people, and wanted to ask about that process of funding the courts. Are you going to continue to make that a priority so that we have the resources to administer justice across the state.
Yeah, and thank you for your service. One of the things that frankly I enjoy most is making those appointments. We've done a good job all across the state. We've put good people on the bench, and so all that is good. But yes, it's an area, no matter what county you're in, that we have to make sure it's appropriately funded. It's obviously 1/3 of our state government, and we just have to make sure that the resources are there, and that's a priority going forward. It always has been a priority.
Governor, thanks for taking the time to join us at the Wisconsin State Fair. Enjoy that cream puff.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Steve. Take care.
Absolutely. We are in the first half hour of the Political Power Hour. We got a whole bunch more stuff to talk about with our guests, Mary Kuhnmensch and Jim Santel. That's all coming up on WTMJ.
There are a lot of interesting people and traditions in Wisconsin. 1 hour of covering culture and creativity in our state is simply not enough. I'm Sandy Max of WTMJ's What's on Tap with the happy news that my show is now expanded to 2 hours. So please join me weeknights from 6 till 8 for updates on festivals, films, food, music, theater, and other ways we love to make the most of Wisconsin life. What's on Tap with Sandy Max weeknights now from 6 till 8 on WTMJ. And subscribe to the What's on Tap podcast to listen anytime you want.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scafidi for Universal Windows Direct. No, it's not. I'm talking about Loyal Family Renovations. I got my papers mixed up. I love Jeff and Jake at Loyal Family Renovations. You know why? Because they did all the work for me. They assessed our damage. We had a lot of problems in Oak Creek and South Milwaukee with that recent hailstorm. I've got a brand new roof today because of their work. They walked me through it. They work with my insurance guy. And if your home has suffered storm damage, don't leave it up to the out-of-towners. Loyal Family Renovations. Loyalty, family. Those are important concepts. The family-owned, loyalty belongs to their customers. Contact them today for a free damage inspection to make your home remodeling dreams a reality. LoyalFamilyRenovations.com.
People across Wisconsin are enjoying the rewards, stability, and flexibility of a career in healthcare. Why not you? WIS Caregiver Careers can get you started as a certified direct care professional. You'll learn the skills you need to make life better for older adults or people with a disability. All training is free and online. Plus, earn $500 in bonuses. Start your new career. Sign up today at WisCaregiverCDCP.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Brian Wickert, owner of Wisconsin's own Accunet Mortgage. I get that most home shoppers just go with their bank when it comes to getting pre-approved. But that's probably a mistake because banks have a lot of overhead like branches, fancy headquarters, and layers of management. That means their closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 higher than Accunet's for exactly the same rate. And that's not all. Bank pre-approval letters are usually weak and unconvincing, especially compared to Accunet's rock-solid, fully verified pre-approval that provides a $2,000 guarantee to you and the seller. Our senior loan consultants will also look at every possible way to strengthen your offer and pre-approval in the eyes of that seller, especially if you're offering over the asking price. We even call the listing agent to reinforce what a great buyer you are. Banks don't do all that. Click on the blue button today at Accunet.com and let our passionate mortgage pros help you win while you save a bunch of money too. That's ACCUNET.com.
Colliers, Wisconsin is in the business of finding companies the right home. Hi, I'm Lyle Landowski, President and CEO of Colliers, Wisconsin. When it came to our own space, we decided downtown Milwaukee was the place to be. Downtown has the amenities, activity, and access to talent that has propelled our growth for the last 10 years. We're proud to call downtown Milwaukee home and welcome the opportunity to help you become our neighbor. Experience it for yourself. Go to MilwaukeeDowntown.com.
From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Adam Roberts. A prison swap underway today between Russia and the United States. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and former Marine Paul Whelan confirmed to be a part of the agreement. Gershkovich has been in Russian custody since March of 2023 while working on a story, while Whelan has been left behind several times in previous prisoner swaps, including the one for Brittany Griner. 2 other Americans and 4 Russians are also a part of the exchange, the largest of its kind since the Cold War. Back at home, UW-Milwaukee is suspending 5 student organizations for, quote, intimidating language towards the Jewish community. The suspension stemming from a post on Instagram by an account representing the UWM Coalition for Palestine. The UW Board of Regents issuing a statement denouncing the posts. Organizers of the coalition telling WTMJ they will hold a press conference on Monday. And today is day 1 of the Wisconsin State Fair in West Allis. Gates opening up at the fair in just under a half hour. As with other opening days, make sure to plan for extra time to get parked and into the grounds. For a rundown of day 1, text the word FAIR, F-A-I-R, FAIR, to the WTMJ talk and text line 855-616-1620. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. It was a good start to the morning for the Dow. Now they are down 253 points to 40,589. The Nasdaq also off 33 points to 17,566. And the S&P 500 is now down 10 to 5,512. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Let's check the roads. Your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving, time saver traffic. Right now, no major incidents, just one broken down vehicle, and right now it is located on that is right shoulder on 41 North, near Slinger, just past Highway 145. That's where it's only slow on 43 North and South between Fond du Lac and about Capitol Drive right now, and the rest of the system at this hour looks pretty good. And your WTMJ forecast for today, some showers still moving through and out of the area right now this morning. Better chance for rain and some thunderstorms comes this afternoon and into the evening. It'll be muggy again today with a high of 85. Humid tonight, showers and storms early and a low of 71. Slight chance for rain early then on Friday. It'll stay humid with a high of 83. A touch less humid for your Saturday and Sunday with highs in the mid-80s and partly cloudy. Not as hot on Monday. Partly cloudy, slight chance for storms and a high of 79 degrees. Right now in Kaukauna, it's mostly sunny and 77. In New Berlin, light rain and 75. And in Milwaukee, it's mostly cloudy and 77 degrees. I'm Adam Roberts, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Times 9:33.
Wait now or wait a little longer. You may have just increased your lifetime income by tens of thousands of dollars. That's how Social Security can work for you. The longer you wait, the more money you may get. Deciding when to start taking your Social Security benefits is one of the most important retirement decisions you'll make. Our team at Drake & Associates can show you the options and help make the right decision for your situation. You spent decades paying in. Optimize what comes out. Drake & Associates can help you squeeze every penny out of your Social Security benefits. Claim your free Retirement Ready Toolkit that has guides on Social Security. To get our complimentary toolkit, call or text SS to 414-409-9982. That's calling or texting SS to 414-409-9982.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Loft Financial Advisory Group, LLC, a Wisconsin insurance agency. Clients are under no obligation to purchase any recommended insurance products.
This is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Clinics, and I want to talk about exactly what we do. When you come here, you're going to get 2 shots with 2 very small needles. One will be a medication called Toradol, which is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, completely different from a standard steroid or cortisone injection. This medication is safe and a great pain reliever. The other will be hyaluronic acid, which is a naturally occurring fluid found in all of our joints. What hyaluronic acid does is it helps recoat the inside surfaces to provide cushioning and lubrication. It helps slow down the osteoarthritis process to a point where patients may not need surgery. All of this combined with using our state-of-the-art Ultra G machine developed by NASA has produced profound results. What we do works. And the best part about this is that insurance covers most of our patients' treatments. Go to Rejuvenex.com to request your free pain evaluation.
Broadcasting live from the Bank 5 Studios, Wisconsin State Fair opening day. Thanks to Governor Tony Evers, who joined us for a few moments. Also with me today, retired Milwaukee County Judge Mary Kuhn-Mensch and former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel. All right, so we spent some time on the current president's ideas about what should happen with the Supreme Court. One of the things that I and you all of us have been talking about for, more than a year, is all these swirling court cases revolving around the 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump, who is still a candidate for president. He would be the 47th president if he wins. Let's get an update. There's at least 3 or 4 big cases. What do you want to start with, Jim?
Sure, let's do Mar-a-Lago. The documents case wasn't fairly easy to do. You've got this decision by Eileen Cannon dismissing the whole case on this, frankly, frivolous notion. I suspect Judge Mary would agree with me on that somehow the prosecution appointment here is unconstitutional. Up at the 11th Circuit, so the entire case is gone to the district court. The 11th Circuit has just recently announced a briefing schedule that has us well into October, which means that is all the attorneys are now filing motions and memorandums. Maybe an argument sometime later this year basically confirms there'll be no trial in that case in this calendar year, and maybe a decision from the Court of Appeals, presumably overturning Eileen Cannon, sending this back down to the trial court for some proceedings there.
I think they've set the Court of Appeals has set a briefing schedule already
exactly,
on that. So
right.
I think the 11th Circuit is one of the circuits that actually moves fairly quickly, but I still don't see that getting ahead of the election. I think, the Mar-a-Lago cases, I used to be able to be a pretty good predictor of things, but from my experience on the bench, but given what the Supreme Court has done in some of these and some of the rulings, I think Judge Cannon is relying on what she thinks the Supreme Court of the United States is giving her by way of guidance. And who knows, you and I think it's a no-brainer and that this argument should be tossed, that that Jack Smith was inappropriately appointed under the non-justice counsel rule, and as a just on its face, that's a frivolous argument.
Right. But we've got a Supreme Court justice who agrees with her, right?
Yeah,
Clarence Thomas files concerns and says, yes, indeed, there's a problem here. She picks that up, runs with it, and here we are.
All right. So what do you say to because I get this all the time, and maybe it's misusing this phrase, but justice delayed is justice denied. For the folks who think the president should be held accountable for his actions, guilty or not guilty, this delay, constant delay, I know you guys know this because you work in that world, but the rest of us are thinking, boy, this is taking a long time.
Yeah, and it does. And justice delayed is justice denied, particularly for defendants like Donald Trump or any criminal defendant, because they want to have certainty. And victims of crimes want to have certainty about and know what's going to be happening to someone who has been involved in a crime against them, whether it's a property crime or an assaultive crime. Same thing with the former president of the United States. We want certainty as to what his destiny is going to be. I think the answer to that, though, Steve, is that it is an imperfect system, and part of its imperfection is because we do everything from crossing our T's to dotting our I's to make sure that everyone has a fair opportunity to have their arguments, even if they lose at the trial court, to have the Court of Appeals, and then if they want to go up to the Supreme Court of either the state or the United States. And so that process takes time because you're allowing people to brief and to make arguments. You're allowing the judge to then rule. That is by nature, I would think you would agree, Jim, at the state court or the federal court where you've practiced, it is it's not done in a heartbeat. It takes time to do that to ensure that everyone's rights are protected.
Just by way of reference, there is a thing called the Federal Speedy Trial Act. You're a good question, Steve. Sort of a misnomer maybe in this case, but it contemplates that after your first appearance, you'll be tried within 70 days. Now, as Judge Mary is indicating, all kinds of appropriate extensions on that for complexity of cases. That's what's going on here. But there still is that notion. You want to get this case resolved, frankly, in the interest of the defendant, who has a right to a speedy disposition of his case, but also for the public who has an interest in resolving these things fairly quickly.
I will tell you, Steve, that I don't want to start a war here, Jim, but I believe that the state courts we have a 90-day rule to bring all criminal cases, felony cases to trial. And if it's violated, then you have to readjust bail.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
we take pride in doing that in the state courts in Wisconsin and in New York, as we saw how Judge Marchand marched that case through and finished even earlier than what most people thought. The feds seem to be really working and overindulging some of these arguments. At the state court, we just don't have time to do that. We have to keep cases moving. And I think you're seeing some of that, people wanting to articulate some of the most ridiculous arguments that I would call frivolous, and yet give them an airing in court. I think the feds are doing an injustice to their system and to their speedy rules by indulging in a lot of this stuff with Donald Trump.
On that theme, we talked about the Supreme Court earlier. Did they muck things up when it should be a little more clear-cut? I can remember talking to legal scholars a long time ago about the documents case. I heard slam dunk. I heard this pretty straightforward. Even though he's president, he can't just be moving documents around and holding on to them. So,
and I think that case will eventually be adjudicated, Steve. And I think people have to be patient, because I think that is the strongest case, even stronger than the January 6th case. And I think that will eventually there will be justice. And I think Donald Trump will pay the price in that case. I don't think that's going to. Even the delays are not going to alter the ultimate outcome.
It doesn't change the facts.
Yes.
And so the factual presentation, putting aside all these legal niceties and the machinations we're talking about, which do delay things. Nonetheless, when you get into trial, present this case, there's no such thing as an easy slam dunk trial. But in terms of the charges here, remember that there are not only charges related to the documents, but there's also obstruction of justice. Remember these counts? We've got 2 additional defendants. All of that is not that extraordinary in terms of its factual presentation. You can do that if you can get this case to trial.
You were an attorney, you were a judge. The work done by Donald Trump's legal team, pretty good. They've postponed, they've delayed, they've gotten rulings in their favor. I would argue that's what an attorney should do.
Well, on the criminal side, criminal defense attorneys, that's their job. Their job is to try and make arguments, any arguments that aren't frivolous, of course, because you also heard in the New York case, this was a very well-respected former prosecutor, I believe, at the state level or at the federal level. He now became former President Trump's lawyer. And right at one of the arguments he made right at the beginning of the case, Judge Marchand said something that no lawyer, whether you're a prosecutor or a defense attorney, wants to hear, which is, you are losing credibility with me, all credibility with me. Be very careful. I mean, that's not something that judges say lightly, and it's not something that Judge Marchand said lightly, and it's certainly not something that a lawyer who wants to protect its law license wants to hear.
And to your good point, Steve, also about the role of defense counsel, Judge Mary would concur with me on this as well. A critical part of the process. And yes, indeed, as a part of that process, we expect it's a part of professional responsibility to raise all of the, I would say, non-frivolous arguments. And one of those before Judge Marchand is the impact of this United States Supreme Court decision finding the president is immune. That was rendered, of course, in the federal case in election interference. But the question before Judge Marchand now is, are there enough tendrils in that federal decision to affect the further pursuit of the criminal case?
I think you and I agree, Jim, that Judge Marchand is a very, very careful, thoughtful, efficient state court judge. Very, very smart guy, and I don't think that's going to carry the day with him. And I think ultimately it's just delaying the inevitable, which is sentencing.
Mary Kuhnman, Jim Santel, my guest on the Political Power Hour, live from the Bank 5-9 studios at the beautiful Wisconsin State Fair. More next.
For your next exterior remodeling project, we know you're not asking a lot from us. You want the right products for your situation, you want a few different financing options that can make your project affordable, and you want us to do a good job with minimal disruption to your life. And this one's important. You want a warranty that matters. And we know that checking every box makes all the difference. You might be surprised at how many moving parts go into it, but we have just the right people in all the right places to pull that off every day and make it look easy. The company we have took us 21 years to build. It's an awesome place to work because we never stop improving it. And we think we can do this work so well that we can actually change the reputation of exterior remodelers long term. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
Ask about our finance options.
Everybody knows, if it's summer season, it's festival season. And Potawatomi has the winningest one, WinFest. You could make it an awesome August with a share of $500,000. Play with your rewards card for entries. Hourly drawings every Thursday from 5 to 8 p.m. $25,000 in cash and prizes each drawing. It's the $500,000 Win Fest. Get in on the fun. Only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. More info at pacebig.com. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Here in Wisconsin, one name is synonymous with fantastic frozen pizza, Palermo's. For almost 60 years, Palermo's has focused on feeding Wisconsin families. And though Palermo's has grown a lot since 1964, they're still family-owned. They're still proud to call Milwaukee home. And they're still committed to making the best frozen pizza possible. From their new and improved rising crust pizzas to their guilt-free Primo thin pies, Palermo's has a delicious slice for every appetite. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer food aisle. Palermo's. Flavor is our family's business.
Siding Unlimited, named the best window installers not just here but in the whole USA. Get the best. Siding Unlimited, 3-time winner as America's best window installer. For windows, you call Siding Unlimited first and directly. SidingUnlimited.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
We are broadcasting live from the Bank 5-9 studio, gorgeous studio, and with me today, Jim Santel, Mary Kuhn-Mensch. Got a quick one here. All right, the masterminds of 9/11.
Yes.
Well,
all those years ago. Well, something's happening here now.
Yeah, you think about it, this is more than, almost 24, 25 years ago, and they've been held down in Guantanamo at the military base down there. And you're going to hear in the news, or the public's going to hear, that while Osama bin Laden got his just desserts, which was, he was captured and then shot and killed by our military, the reality is that most people expect that those folks that are being held down there would, and since they confessed, they should get the death penalty. Well, that's not going to happen under a plea bargain that was reached by the government and by these defendants and their counsel. And Jim can speak more to why that happened, but what the alternative is, they're going to spend the rest of their lives because they can't come to the United States. They're not going to be allowed to travel to the United States.
They're going to be in a jail cell in Guantanamo.
They're going to be in a jail cell in Guantanamo, which is not the nicest place in the world, but that's where they'll spend the rest of their lives. Half of the victims' families are not very comfortable with that, and the other half, I'm not sure if it's exactly half, but the other part think that it's a satisfactory ending. The justice has been served. But you might want to comment, Jim, as to how why a plea bargain had to be reached in this case.
Right. This is the reality, and this is the kind of thing that Judge Mary is indicating that I talked to the victim families about this. The reality is we're facing a 12 to 18-month trial of these folks, and here's the big one. The possibility of the military judge. Once again, this is a military tribunal, not a state court that Mary presided in or a federal court that I worked in. This is a military judge potentially throwing out the confessions themselves based upon all that misconduct years and years ago. That would be the ultimate tragedy, right? If these folks are released out into the community, and by community I mean the face of the planet, we're averting that. They remain in prison. The judge, his name is Matthew McCall, he's a colonel, presumably going to accept this plea and get this case resolved finally.
And by misconduct, you're talking about the waterboarding and the torture that was authorized under the Bush administration, I think by Vice President Cheney at the time. Yes. That's come back to haunt us, and unfortunately it's resulting in a plea bargain.
A lot of wisdom in the room today from the Bank 5-9 studio at the Wisconsin State Fair. Day one, opening day. We had Governor Tony Evers on earlier, Mary Kuhn-Mensch, Jim Santel, and yours truly will wrap it up for the Political Power Hour right here in 620 WTMJ.
The saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished.
Well, how about a good deed and then getting rewarded for it? That sounds pretty good to us.
Join the WTMJ Street Team outside of the Bank 5-9 studios at the Wisconsin State Fair. Do a good deed?
Get a piece of WTMJ swag. It's that easy.
Yeah, all the swag. I got t-shirts, I got string bags, I got chest.
Stop by the Bank 5-9 studios at the Wisconsin State Fair and say hey to WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ. Steve Smitty for Advent. I had snoring issues, tossing and turning, restless nights of sleep. That is not my reality anymore, and it shouldn't be yours either. Go to Advent. I went to Advent. Great facilities, great docs, 30-minute visit. They put me at ease. They answered all my questions. Everybody's different problems, different solutions. They added a simple sleep study at home in my own bed. Determining my problem, sinuses, nasal passages. Took care of that. Short procedure done in one of their offices. Back to breathing better than ever. More importantly, sleeping through the whole night. And you know when you get a good night's sleep how great the next day is. Don't wait. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to AdventKnows.com and schedule an appointment today, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
I don't like onions. I'm doing paleo. Do they have gluten-free bagels? You can't juggle every food request for a work event, or can you? EasyCater is the all-in-one tech platform that makes it easy to get restaurant catering for work, with options for any group size, taste, dietary preference, or budget. EasyCater saves your favorite restaurants and orders, which makes reordering a snap. Need to modify an order? No problem. So when it comes to food for work, make it easy on yourself with EasyCater. Start your order at easycater.com.
It's summer in Britain, and the crimes are just getting started.
I found another body.
Stream the best of British crime drama only on BritBox. Don't miss new seasons of acclaimed series like Blue Lights, which Time Out calls Belfast's answer to The Wire.
Back up, over!
And The Responder, starring Martin Freeman in his international Emmy award-winning role.
I can feel it. I'm going to crack.
Stream the best of British crime drama on BritBox.
You know, this is why I want to be a detective.
Watch with a free trial today.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Always fun at the Wisconsin State Fair opening day. My goodness. A lot of people starting to get milling around the great studio here, Bank 5-9 studio at State Fair Park. I got a giveaway. I got to do this. A very busy day with Jim Santel and Mary Kuhnmensch, but we have a 4-pack of State Fair tickets, by the way, to give away. Lucky caller number 7 to 855-616-1620. Caller number 7, be nice to Jaslyn, and you'll win those tickets. So that's up for grabs. I think we're going to do that throughout the day here on WTMJ. All right, Jim Santel reminded me of this before we get out of here today. Last time you and I were in the studio was the 10-year mark of the shooting at the Sikh Temple, August 5th, 2012.
Right.
We were joined by Pardeep Kaleka, whose father was killed, and of course the unbelievable officer Brian Murphy.
Right.
I still remember everything about that day. I remember all of the events since. It never really goes away, Jim, and maybe it shouldn't.
It does not. Now, beautiful Sunday morning, and marred. These wonderful people coming together to worship, and marred by this hatred and this catastrophic event. And we are mindful even now, 12 years later, that as much as we embrace humanity and the wonders that our religions of all faiths in this nation, again, we embrace everyone across the board, there are still people out there who are prompted by and motivated by hate. And even on the day when we celebrate the Wisconsin State Fair, we're mindful of the fact that we need to do everything we possibly can do to make certain those messages about the other and people being different than we are simply cannot be a part of our culture, our society, our thoughtfulness on all of this. That's not America.
Real quick story, maybe before we jump in. I was in Zurich's airport, Zurich, Switzerland, and I saw a gentleman with a turban on, and I'm pretty good about recognizing Sikh men because they wear turbans and they have long beards. So I did what I always do, and I introduced myself and I said, are you Sikh? He said, yes. And even all the way in Zurich, he was aware of the Oak Creek shooting, which was now 12 years ago. And we had that conversation. And I, to your point, I noticed when I first started talking to him, there was an apprehension. Why is this individual in Zurich, Switzerland, approaching me? And then his eyes brightened when I told him the story.
And then there's a universality to that,
Absolutely.
right? There's a connection, a universality, and that is what we need to embrace in
I have
America.
a little bit of a different take, briefly, and that is the words shooting, mental health, assassination. That was 12 years ago. It was driven by hate. We had a young man in Pennsylvania take a shot at and almost hit our former President Donald Trump, and actually killed one of the people in the audience, for a firefighter, I think.
Yes.
And so what you're noticing is there's a pattern. In 12 years, we still have high-powered rifles and guns in the hands of individuals that are driven by hate, and they're also driven by mental illness. And until we take, as a society and as a country, a deep, hard look at our Second Amendment rights and what curbs we can do to get assault rifles out of the hands of people who do not have the right, and nor do they need to have those kinds of weapons, we're going to continue to have. Unfortunately, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the reality is we're going to continue to see this, as we did 12 years after the Sikh event. We had an attempt on the former president. So we've got to have, as a country, a very dispassionate, honest evaluation and conversation about guns in our country.
And what is so significant here, of course, following up on Mary's good point, is we know it works. We know that when we had a 10-year ban a number of years ago, that the numbers of these kinds of shootings went down. We know that these kinds of restrictions and controls, including background checks, including safety mechanisms, all those kinds of things, they work. We know that in those states where they're in place, we've got reductions in those kinds of threats to our safety.
Jim Santel, former U.S. Attorney, Mary Kuhn-Mensch, retired Milwaukee County Judge. Always a pleasure. Always learn something, and that certainly was the case today. Thanks for spending some time with me on opening day at the Wisconsin State Fair.
Thanks for having us.
All right, news is next. We are going to be coming back tomorrow morning with our great political power hour, but Jeff Sherman is up after the news right here on 620 WTMJ.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for J.D. Griffiths. It was more than a year ago that my wife and I decided we needed new garage doors.